your experts in business.
All right, welcome back to the show. We'll go from skincare to commercial real estate. That's a good transition right there. Grant Pruitt is my guest. Company is Whitebox Real Estate. Whiteboxrealestate.com is the website. Grant, we were just talking the last couple minutes about what you guys do, and you were like, look, we got 4 verticals here that we deal with.
That's right. We have 4 different verticals. We do tenant rep brokerage for the office and industrial users. That's anybody that occupies space.
Okay.
We do investment sales, which is really on the investor side, representing really more fully leased or value-add top product for the investor as opposed to the user. We do development, and we also do construction management as well, which is strictly that. It's managing the construction process when you move into a space or if you need to renovate, something like that.
You know, you can always tell the pulse of a city when you go through and you see the cranes.
That's right.
You know,
very much so.
Very much so. And Uptown had a lot of
That's
those.
the Texas state bird.
I like that. It's the first time I've heard that. It's true, though, right? We had a bunch of stuff going on.
For sure. There is. There's a ton of construction activity going on. And
still, right? It's not like it's past, or is it kind of completed? I mean, there's a lot of projects completed, right?
I would make the case that we have seen it taper off some, just
Okay.
as a result of what people are, and this is not stuff that's in the works, so you're not going to notice it right now. But I think people are trying to figure out where we are in the market. They're trying to figure out where interest rates are going, and really, as far as for most people, that's not necessarily a bad thing that they're pumping the brakes a little bit.
I think you might be the first honest real estate agent to actually admit that.
I sure hope so,
I think
because
you
there's
are.
a lot of people before me who have said some things that aren't.
It just seems like you find so many realtors, and maybe on both commercial and residential, that just always pump it. There's we're full steam ahead, and like they're selling that that we're and it's nice to have a little bit of reality. Like, no, we probably pull back a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say
we're breathing room.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't think that it's a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. But if you talk to the contractors, they're starting to want to fill up their pipelines, especially some of the larger general contractors. For example, 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago, you'd take a job out to bid, and I'm talking very large, tens of millions, hundreds of millions dollar jobs, and some of the contractors would say, yeah, we'll bid it, and then they'd bid it and say, you know what, guys, thank you very much. We appreciate it, but our plate's a little bit full. And I talked to a general contractor recently that we had sent a job to, and he said, yeah, we'd really like to see some more work come through. And I said, well, you just passed on a job about 12 months ago. Well, 12 months ago is different. Now it's not. So I think that really on the consumer side, and really that's what I'm on the consumer side more than anything. On the consumer side, I'm very optimistic, and I see a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. And I know 2 business owners right now that are in the West Village area that they want a place, they want a new location so bad right now. They want to buy a new location because where they're at, they're just paying the rent is extremely expensive, and they would like to buy some property somewhere.
Yeah.
I will pass those things on to you after the show.
I would love those. I'd love to talk to them. There's 2 things I'd say about that. You need to be very careful about evaluating the buy versus lease side and what makes sense as a business. There's a misconception oftentimes that it's if you're paying rent, you're just throwing money away and you could be building equity. The thing that people don't always contemplate with a commercial product is the value really is the user. You're bringing the value through your occupancy, and everybody says that a user pays more than an investor because an investor will buy a vacant building and then they'll look for a user to bring the value. You're bringing that value as a user. Now, there are times that it makes sense to buy a building, but there's a lot of other factors that go into it that people don't necessarily consider. So, for instance, you got to mow your grass on your home, and that's one thing, but now you got to think about upkeep and maintenance of your building. And that's a lot more involved oftentimes than what it is in your home. You got to have a place to live. You don't necessarily have to have a building that you own.
It was interesting. I was just noticed on 121 yesterday. Used to be a pollo tropical, a tropical pollo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it flipped to now a chicken. It was some kind of Hayes chicken fingers, one of these chicken national franchise. And I thought to myself, well, that's smart. Someone was trying to expand in this market. They found this location.
The old Wendy's model.
Yeah, exactly.
Find the old, what is it, old McDonald's or whatever they were in, and then take that over and make a better burger out of it.
Yeah. But do you find companies calling you saying, hey, we're looking for X amount of square feet?
Yeah, absolutely. That's
drive-through.
That's our bread and butter. Now ours is on the office and industrial side, so we can help them find somebody that would help them with a drive-through like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just like what we're sitting in right now. If somebody needs space, and that's 70% of our business is with existing users, so 70% is renewals. It doesn't have to be that you're looking for new space. We're completely agnostic as to what you want to do, and our fiduciary is strictly to our clients. So yeah, people call us all the time and say, I'm looking for. It's really a little bit better by head count and industry because I can give you a better representation of what it is if you do that. I mean, you can tell me how much square footage you need, but a lot of times it's easier to start by head count because then, if you're a tech company, you may want it to look more like a tech company, and they're going to get as dense as they want to be. Now, if you're an oil and gas company, you're going to want all offices, and it's going to be a lot lower density user.
That's actually a great analogy
for
that. Grant Pruitt is our guest. The website is whiteboxrealestate.com, whiteboxrealestate.com. Do you have a percentage of occupancy here in North Texas? As far as, is it easy to find commercial real estate, or is it scarce? I mean,
it depends on the submarket. I mean, as a general market, DFW wide, you're going to be tracking closer to about 18%, and we track about 20% as a market. But your tighter markets are going to be 10 or less than 10% vacancy on the office side. On the industrial side, you're going to see some markets that are, much, much tighter than that. But it's going to be submarket specific, and there's a lot of drivers of what that is. I mean, you said that you had some friends that were in the West Village. Well, Uptown's a very desirable area to be in because of the live, work, play environment, and because of that, you're going to see a premium. Now, you can go to other value markets that may not have all those drivers, and you'll be able to see that in the rental rates.
Outside of Dallas, is there a particular city in North Texas that seems to be on fire right now?
Well, I mean, are you talking the Metroplex, or are you talking like the next city to be a boom? Because,
question.
Plano and Frisco are not in Dallas, but they're doing very, very well. McKinney, I think, is going to do extremely well, especially over the next 10, 15 years because it's just growing exponentially. I think everybody's starting to look at Denton and say, where is Denton going to be in this, especially from a distribution standpoint as the city continues to grow north. Everything seems to be growing that way, and you're starting to find some constraints, in my opinion, as far as distribution would travel going further north that you're not necessarily able to address from the south. And you're really starting to have to look at last mile. And so I think that's a big driver for a market like Denton. Maybe not quite yet there, but it's going to get there.
I remember talking to a businessman about 3.5 years ago, and he said that he thought that Frisco would be the center of the DFW Metroplex. Like right now, it's somewhat viewed as the northern parts. He thinks it's going to push that much further north.
So
you go with that or not?
I disagree with that. I explain the DFW Metroplex to people as we have 3 cities within a metropolitan area. And people say, 3 cities within a metropolitan area? What do you mean? And I say, well, we have Frisco Legacy. And I would say that Legacy, I mean, if you drive up the tollway and you look right there just south of 121, it is like entire downtowns. I'd argue, you drive there and then you drive to Austin and you go, oh, it looks about the same. And from a square footage standpoint, you're starting to rival that. I mean, that market used to be, it's grown by leaps and bounds. So you have Legacy, you have Dallas,
and
then you have Fort Worth. And people say, well, how can you have 3 within one metropolitan area? And I say it's on a much smaller scale, but how do you describe the New York metropolitan area? And they kind of look and I say, well, you have Manhattan, you have New Jersey, and you have Connecticut. And they all make up one metropolitan area. It's really the greater New York area, but there's 3 different independent markets. I mean, you can't really take Manhattan and Greenwich and say there's a comparison, or the same with Hoboken or Rutherford. They're totally different markets, and that's really what you're seeing evolve, which is good. I think it's healthy.
Yeah. And, you're right. When you take that tollway 121 area, you just look around at the amount of business and office space and hotel and retail. It's incredible.
It blows my mind. And, in fact, I was at a conference in New Orleans about 8 months ago, and this is all real estate brokers from across the country. So I'm a SIOR designee. That's the Society of Industrial and Office Realtors. It's 3,200 professionals globally, less than 2% of real estate license holders in the United States. It's the best of the best, top 5% of commercial real estate brokers. And they were talking about legacy in this presentation.
They knew it.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I think everybody across the world, especially when Toyota said we're moving from Torrance and we're going to bring our headquarters.
Yeah.
They went, wait, where's this Plano,
and then,
Texas
of course,
place?
with Jerry building the spaceship.
With a star,
right, the
absolutely.
Star right there,
you can't beat it. And so, anyways, I was in New Orleans, and, I'd heard all this, and you really take it for granted when you live in a market like we live in. And they come up to me after, and they go, is that really going on? Do you really have, we had
$3 billion,
5 million square feet of construction going on at one given time. We had the $5 billion mile, and that was really what was north of 121. And they were going, there is no way. Is that really the case? Because for a lot of markets, that's their entire market. And
right.
I said, yeah, that really is. I mean, you got to liken it. I mean, just look even at the state. You look at Austin, it's probably 40 million square feet, 45 million square feet, and that's like a sub-market here in DFW. So it's just different perspective.
It is different. Grant Pruitt is our guest. The website is whiteboxrealestate.com. We got to take a break. We'll come back and we'll wrap up this real estate conversation. If somebody wants more information on just if they're looking for a space or if they have somebody that's growing, what's the best resource for you?
You can email us, contact@whiteboxrealestate.com. You can call us. That's 214-380-4540. And that's 214-380-4540.
Very cool. A few minutes, we'll come right back. Stick around. Expert himself, Grant Pruitt. You like that, huh? Whitebox Real Estate. Well, you are. We've talked for 32 minutes now, and it's like it's good stuff, and it just keeps getting better. I want to have you back on because I love this real estate chat.
I'd love to be back on.
I think that you take a very upfront and honest approach at talking about it, that it's all not always, rockets, and it's all buy and build now. There's a little bit of a downtime, and I think I appreciate someone that's honest.
I wouldn't say it's a downtime.
Well, not downtime,
I would just say that it's people are looking at the future and trying to figure out where it is, especially on a long-term project.
Mm-hmm. And we talked earlier in the show. We had a lady that works specifically with sales tax, and there's a big thing going on right now that if it passed, the state will now they can collect sales tax for stuff that's bought online. When people call you, what's the number one reason why they want to relocate their business or they're looking for property, commercial real estate here in Dallas? Is it because they're escaping the high taxes from other states, or they just like the growth in Texas?
Or both. Both. I would say that Texas is, first of all, DFW is a great place to be because you have no state corporate or personal income tax, and that's a big benefit for businesses. We have two great airports. Mm-hmm. We have two intermodals, which is the BNSF Intermodal north of Alliance and the Union Pacific Intermodal south of Dallas, which is really big from a distribution and logistics standpoint. Okay. Our airport, in addition to being one of the largest passenger airports in the world, that's also within a 5-hour flight within the 5 largest metropolitan areas in North America, not just the United States, inclusive of Canada and Mexico. We have one of the largest inland ports in DFW Airport. Sure. We just have so much great infrastructure, and there's just from a you got to look at people come here because they want to be able to distribute. Well, this is a great place if you want to distribute, because if you look at where your distribution channel is, roughly 500 miles around DFW, you cover a lot of the country, and you're right in the center of the country. Mm-hmm. If you go to Houston, you get a lot of the Gulf of Mexico.
That's true.
As you work your way south, it's not as easy. And so we're right there. We're in the center of the country. We have great infrastructure. So then you got to build the product. So we build the product. You got to store the product. Then you got to go and sell the product, which is then the office worker. Well, then you need people to build it. You need people to distribute it. You need people to sell it. Mm-hmm. And then once you sell it, you need accountants and everybody else to figure out what to do with the money and to bank it and everything else.
Yeah.
And so it's really a trickle-down effect from
That's
that.
awesome. I love it. Makes a lot of sense because if you draw 500 miles, you're getting all the major cities in Texas. You're getting
if you take one from Chicago and you take one from Dallas, they'll roughly touch each other, which is why you see, when you start seeing the evolution of the United States from a population, from a density, from a real estate standpoint, that's why you start seeing your distribution node being in Chicago, your distribution node being in Dallas. You see one in, Atlanta, one in New York, then you see one out in California, and then you may see one out, near Seattle somewhere. Sometimes you see them in Las Vegas, Reno, depending on what their end user looks like. But that's why you start seeing those breakdowns. And so why do people relocate here? They relocate here because we don't have the taxes. We have a very friendly business environment, and we also give incentives. That's one thing that really drives a lot of business, and it makes sense to give incentives. I hear people all the time say, well, why do we give incentives to companies? And I said, we're doing a deal right now where they're giving us, call it $10 million in incentives, and the impact is about $75 million of a company being there. And I'm like, well, it really makes sense because you get to take another $65 million in people shopping in the stores and hotel rooms and taxes, et cetera. And so while people may have an opinion about what the incentives piece is, that doesn't hurt, and that can be a real embrace for some of these companies.
I remember when Amazon was looking for their second headquarters.
Correct.
I was reading some of the comments on these pages, and they were like, why are we giving away all these hundreds of $1 million of incentives to a company that honestly could swap? They spit $1 billion. Like, why are we courting these $1 billion companies? But you just answered that question.
It provides, with Amazon, you're getting 50,000 jobs. And so that's 50,000 new jobs that's coming here. In addition to that, it's another willing labor force. If they have a wife and 2 kids, well, you got kids that are going to need to eat. You got a wife that's probably working as well. They're all going to go spend money at the restaurants. They're going to bank here. They're going to travel here. They're going to spend money here. And so it ends up, it's such a benefit. The other thing that people don't understand about a big relocation like that, and we saw this with Toyota, is all the other businesses that it draws with it. So if you look at Toyota, you can say whatever you want, but there are lots of businesses that have come with it to service Toyota. So if you do accounting for them, if you do, banking for them, if you do advertising for them, they're trying to come to be close to their larger clients.
Good point. Grant Pruitt's our guest, the company whiteboxrealestate.com, whiteboxrealestate.com. Please come back on, man. This is some really good stuff. Yeah. And do you think that we got about a minute left, but do you think that the Toyotas, more companies are seeing, like in the future, they're going, let's just see how Toyota's working out. Oh, they are. We're on our way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think you're going to see a torrent, but you're going to see a torrent of those.
Yeah, man. We were talking in the break about McKinney. I love downtown McKinney. I'm all for the growth.
Yep.
And you brought up a good point. Either you embrace it or it's going to happen when you can be a part of it, or you can just stand by and watch it.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I love what they're doing there. And a lot of these North Texas cities really embrace the change. I like it. I love Legacy. Matter of fact, after the show, I'm driving straight towards Legacy West to go talk to Rustic Cuff.
Oh, yeah.
Jill Donovan, who started that company. I met her about a year and a half ago.
Cool.
Great woman. Expanded out of Tulsa. Opened up a location. Has a couple locations.
See, you ought to ask her why she opened a location there.
I will.
I bet we'll see it. We'll compare notes.
Yeah. But because she knew the market was there. She knew the income levels were there, and people love to shop. And that I will compare notes. I'll shoot you an email and say this is the top 3 interest. It could be that she knew that the Toyotas were across the street and that the wives and everybody else is right there. So,
that's right.
Anyway, it's been fun. So once again, the website,
whiteboxrealestate.com.
There you go. Go to it and check it out. Busy day today. Thanks to Lisa Cobb with Luxury on Lovers. Don't forget to wear your skincare, Grant. You go out, you play golf or anything?
I do.
Okay, you got to put your skincare on.
I need it.
Sunburn. Get the sunburn. You and I both. I'm about as white as you get, and that's on the dance floor and walk it out. Thanks for joining us. As always, go to our website, 620 AM KEXB, for more information on this show and other shows. This Fine Salem Radio Network. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Brian Glenn TV. Until next time, goodbye and God bless.